My money.
Money.
I get money from you.
Money in the bank.
Young money.
Money, 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 money. It's a rich man's world.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
World-renowned financial advisor and best-selling author Barry James Dyke will arm you with the truth. This is The Economic Warrior.
Please note, the opinions expressed on this show are of the individuals who speak them, and not necessarily of Portsmouth Community Radio, its members, or Board of Trustees.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I'm Barry James Dyke, and I'm here in Portsmouth, and now it's wintertime. And good afternoon, Handsome Phil.
And good afternoon to you as well, Barry.
And Will Pierce, my sidekick.
Hey, how you doing?
And our guest is John Duffy McCarthy. You know, I've known you and the family forever, and we're going to talk about Lumberyard Direct. But could you just please tell our audience about you, what's your background, and how long you've been with MSA Associates, and how you came up with the Lumberyard Direct?
Okay. Barry, I have known you forever. I think you've known me since I was born. And I've been working with my brother for the last 20 years doing sales repping for the building material industry. And what I saw is a couple of opportunities that were coming up. And most lumberyards have things overstock and wrong orders. I call them jackpots.
Okay.
So I would be going in and out of these places, and I said, boy, it'd be incredible if you could put this stuff online and people could see it and be able to, find it and then come buy it, because people will drive 100 miles to save, some money.
All right, so like a jackpot, in other words, like a lumberyard would inadvertently order more than they needed, or is this...
No, what really happens is there's the way that a independent lumberyard is set up now is that they have a sales force that goes out and calls on the contractors.
Yep.
And they're doing takeoffs, and they're doing material lists for them, and sometimes there's mistakes happen. Windows are wrong, are the wrong size. Sometimes they inventory a product that they are not going to inventory next year. So there's all this good material that's lying around, and they've got to get rid of it. And they're going to sell it for pennies on the dollar, or they're going to be able to sell it to their customers. So I'd rather try to get them the most money for it and save the customer some money on the other side.
That's great, because we kid on the show, and I've been tracking this a lot. And you're out in the field, you and your brother and your nephew, and I know. Do you have any other guys on the road with you?
Yeah, we got a guy in Connecticut and a guy in Long Island.
Okay, so you guys are out. You're out in where the rubber meets the road every day, and
yep.
And we, I look at from my and we see a lot of carnage, quite frankly, in the retail sector. What do you see?
Well, the independent lumberyards, which are the backbone of this country for since the the gold rush, is building, and we've seen a dramatic decrease in independent lumberyards and a radical increase of the big box.
Yeah, and so were they being taken over? Are they being taken over? I think Jay maybe said that some of these are being taken over by private equity firms, maybe.
Well, there's a lot of consolidation of larger lumberyards buying smaller ones and keeping them going. And then down in the downturn of the economy, when we had the downturn in the 08, 09, there's been a lot of carnage where they just went out of business.
Yeah, I see.
What about rye? What happened to rye lumber?
That was Rand Lumber. Rand Lumber was that was sold to a developer, I believe, and they put a nice development in there, and it was kind of off the beaten path, so it was hard to keep.
Yeah, it was a family business.
Yeah, nice guy. I know Jim Rand now, and he's he works in the industry still.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So he had a valuable piece of land there, so he's probably make more money selling the land than. But so my question for you is, how did you come up with the idea of Lumberyard Direct? So just what motivated you to do it?
Well, the beginning stages of it was more on that overstock building materials, and basically it was going to be a win-win-win. A win for the lumberyard, a win for the customer because they're going to be getting something different. I mean, something less expensive, and the lumberyard is going to be making more money than just throwing this thing out for pennies on the dollar. And then it was a win for us. If we made the sale, we tried to, have a commission involved in that or some kind of a profit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. And as it's gone along over the short time, with the internet going exploding and the online sales happening, I see this as a way of trying to direct the sales back to the lumberyard from online because, there's, believe me, all this online stuff is starting to affect every brick and mortar. So,
yeah. So, but I guess what I've seen and some of the more successful businesses, they have a combination of the two. They have the brick and mortar and the retail, and the online retail.
Yep.
And I have clients like in the pet supply business where they'll have a great presence in the brick and mortar, traditional brick and mortar, and then they have and I've kind of told them to go up and running with the online, and that's taken off as well. But I think just pure one or the other, I don't know. And even look at Amazon right now. What have they bought? Whole Foods,
Yep.
But actually, that's another thing. But
well, what I really think is the important thing here is that we're trying to. The internet has brought customers into the independent lumberyard, knowing or bringing in what they want to buy. So they'll come in and they'll say, "I saw this online and I want to buy this," and the gentleman at the lumberyard will be like, "Well, I know nothing about it." So by setting up Lumberyards Direct, and we represent a dozen companies, we're able to put our products online and educate the person who wants to buy them. And then what we do is we pull them through the independent lumberyard so that the gentleman at the lumberyard doesn't really need to know much about it because all he's getting is a sale, and he needs to go out and purchase it.
Okay, would this be competing with someone like Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that?
Well, that's a very good point, Barry. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I know that Home Depot got into online sales, and that's kind of what we're doing is online, buy online, pick up at store.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing is we're directing those people to independent lumberyards. Home Depot got into buy online, pick up on store, or just buying online and having it shipped to them. And they've gone from somewhere in the vicinity of doing $1 million worth of business in the first couple of years to maybe $5 million a couple of years later, and now they're probably in the hundreds of millions of dollars, or even larger than that, online sales.
It's amazing. Well, I'm a big fan of the internet because I've written a bunch of books and I've sold 32,000 books in 23 countries, and I couldn't have done it without the internet. That's it's even. Even had some things happen this week where people, it's like, how do these people find out about me? So the internet is now. But what's some of the biggest challenges of doing a startup? And Lumber Direct, our folks go to lumberyarddirect.com, right?
Correct. Yep.
So what are the biggest challenges of starting a business? Because we were driving up here, Duffy. I'm a big fan of small businesses, and what's the biggest challenge you're having in getting this thing going?
Well, for me personally, it's time and money. So, starting a new business, you either got to, go all in, or you've got to hire people to do it. And the beauty of my situation is that I'm in the business.
Yeah.
And every day I'm on the road. I'm in a lumberyard, if it's in Connecticut, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, wherever we are. And we can be interacting, explaining the process. But any part of a small business, as you know, is the back end of it is tremendous effort and tremendous bandwidth of doing the backside of a business.
Yeah, it's I've had a bunch of businesses over 30, 40, 35 years, and it's just you guys are my hero. Now, how has the idea been accepted by? So, who are you going to lumberyards to pitch this? How has the idea been accepted?
Well, I think it's at first people are a little bit weary on it because they think we're going to sell direct around the brick and mortar. Because I think this platform can be brought to anything. It doesn't matter if you're selling flowers or you're selling lumber.
Okay.
We can take that sale online, take the money, call up the lumberyard, order the product, and send the person in to pick it up. It's already been paid for. So what we're doing is we're taking the confusion out of it. So the first introduction of this, the independent lumberyards were concerned that we were going to start selling directly to that person and not including them. But we can't do that because we're in the business.
Yeah.
So we'd be cutting our nose in spite of
Yeah.
our face. So that's the first part of it. But as this internet thing is just going crazy, they understand that they have to get involved. Some lumberyards are getting involved on selling online, but it's very limited. And then they also like what we're doing because we're trying to solve a problem of overstock, and we're also solving a problem for our manufacturers of they do all this advertising and all this getting the lead.
Yeah.
And what happens is they get the lead and the person walks into the independent lumberyard or wherever, asks for the product, and they get sold something that they sell there. So by us taking the sale, we get the sale.
And they also get the value added of you guys because you know the stuff. I mean, it's like I had a guy, you probably know him, Art. He's been doing a lot of work for me just fixing up a new place. And it's like I can talk to anyone about taxes or investments or stuff like that or economics, but you start to get into billing stuff. It's like, I get Migo. My eyes glaze over, Right. And so I think that's the way a lot of these people. Now, do consumers use this or just billing contractors?
No. I think most of our customer base is consumers because, like you said, you start talking about this stuff and your eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're not trying to sell anybody stuff. We're trying to help them buy stuff by being experts in that and not having them have to get confused and not be able to explain it to the guy at the lumberyard.
Yeah. Well, what do you think on this? Because, you have some properties and things which you manage and own and so forth. And so I'm assuming you're a guy of the building supply.
Well, I just yesterday I looked at some overstock flooring, and I had to go into one of our local lumberyards, not Home Depot or Lowe's, and I was into this. It took about 10 or 15 minutes of one of the salespeople's time, and we were in this storehouse which isn't well lit, and it would have been better if I could have seen a nice picture of the product, knowing exactly how much was available. I mean, because we had to search around for these boxes to see how much of this particular type of flooring was available. I mean, it took a while of this guy's time, and it would be better if I could just do it online, and I could do my figuring at home at my desk. And I'm sure the lumberyard would love to save the employees time.
Time is money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would actually have to maybe help the lumberyard because since they have to go,
you have to inventory what they have.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really on their part because we're bringing a service to them that they need to give us some investment time too. So if they put their time in, we're going to be able to allow customers to find it easier and make it a simpler thing.
Knowledgeable people. But help. What do they think?
Well, I've got some people that have been helping me out over the years. I mean, this has started off. It's been a while. I incorporated 5 years ago, and prior to that, I've had several people do the technology along the way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't understand the I call it the spider web of this because you have a lumberyard in Rye, New Hampshire, then you have one in Burlington, Vermont, and you have a distributor that distributes to all of those. So that guy can have overstock. So it gets very intricate. So as I got more savvy on building a website, I'd be asking this guys, can you build me a website? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. And then they get to the end, and they'd be like, well, I can't make it do that. So I did get some. I've got some good talent. I've got some good people that have been helping me out.
In the case of, let's say, Will is a local builder in Kittery, Maine,
Yep.
and he's looking for a very specific type of flooring, and they have it in Burlington, but they don't have it in Kittery. Do you facilitate the shipping, or how would you work that
Great
out?
question.
If somebody has the elusive item that you can't get really close to them, how do you help them get it closer?
Great question. So if it was at an independent lumberyard up in Burlington, we could probably make arrangements to do LTL, get it down to them. I haven't quite run into that, but I also have distribution companies that have some stuff, and they service over 500 lumberyards in New England. But throughout the whole country, there's over 5,000 independent lumberyards, and there's about the equivalent of that in Home Depots and Lowe's, the big box stores.
Okay.
So it's kind of it's a 50-50 fight right now on that.
But you're also adding the human component. You're
Correct.
actually a human being giving them the advice for the stuff that they need.
Yep. Everybody wants to talk to somebody. And, the problem with going into a big box is there's a lot of employees, but there's not a lot of experience.
Yeah, that's a real problem. And particularly online, and I don't know, it's just I have to deal with a lot of companies. What was it yesterday? Just yesterday, who was I dealing with? I had to deal with some vendor. Who was the vendor? I forget it was. But everyone has all these call centers, like in the Philippines now, and it's like, it was my bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was my bank, and I have a,
I'm sure it's a bank that has been mentioned frequently on this program.
You use a bank?
Yeah. Well, I have to use banks like everyone else, and and I'm talking to the bank, and I'm talking to some clown in the Philippines, and all due respect to the people in the Philippines, they could be really nice people, but when English is not their native tongue, and they're very kind. But my point is that I was on the phone for 15 minutes before I could really address my problem. Whereas if you're there, I mean, they're gonna find you, and
they can call us, and then they can email us and all that. So we try to get the one-on-one, because people aren't going to. It's amazing on how big of purchases we have done over online, and these people have never seen or talked to me. And I had this one guy was doing I think it was an $8,000 roofing job, and he says to me at the end, he goes, "Boy, I hope you're real." And I said, "I'm real."
So, hang on one second.
And you're also going to lumberyards, meeting people who are there, and do you do like in-store, like education, like outreach to contractors and people who are interested, and do classes?
Not so much on this business, but on our everyday to-day business. I mean, that's what we do. We train, we service, we clean our displays, we train the people at the store, and we meet with contractors.
Well, one nice thing about some of the big box stores. You can go on there online. You can find the price.
Mm-hmm.
You can know what they have in stock, and then you can buy something that's new, and go right to the front door and get it at the pickup station. Now, would you ever consider going into doing new sales?
Yes, we do. We represent. We put online all the companies that we rep. And we will take sales for that, and we'll send it to the lumberyard.
So that's new stuff.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good question.
Not remainder.
Nope. That's brand new stuff.
So another question I have for you is that, by the way, I don't know, do you get Amazon? Phil, I know you get Amazon Prime, don't you?
Yep, I got the Prime.
Do you get it, Duff?
Yes, I do.
And no, we'll get you. We'll get you there.
But anyway, my landline.
Okay, but anyway, so Amazon Prime over this past weekend, I was watching. There was a thing about Amazon, and actually, Amazon. You know where Amazon's one of their biggest source of revenues is. Do you understand, Handsome Phil?
So they have some patent or something.
No, I'm gonna say it's food delivery.
Oh no, it's spritzers for olive oil.
What do you think, Duffy?
Books, I think, is where
that's
started.
what they want to think. Actually, their biggest, is one of the biggest sources of revenue is government contracting in the cloud. They're a huge contract of the Department of Defense.
Wow.
So actually, so a lot of illusions are deceiving. And Amazon, actually, I thought everyone thought books or something like that, but it's not. But there's no question Amazon is huge in what they're doing in the retail space. Do you think Amazon would get into what you're doing? I mean, is it possible? I mean,
When they hear this show, they're going to.
So I mean, yeah, but anyhow.
But the one thing they don't have is you, Duff.
Right.
They don't have you on the other end of the phone saying, "Oh, I know exactly what kind of flooring you need," or "I know that you need a gonectigazoid to figure in your calipers," or whatever. Those
Right.
are both made up words. I'm not a contractor, so
That was good.
Yeah,
Hey, Duff, there's a difference in the quality of the stuff you get in a big box store and a local lumberyard, isn't there?
There is. There's usually that they're doing such high turnover that they can't keep the quality there, and they also grind the manufacturers to make stuff less expensive.
Right.
So you're not getting the same stuff.
But it might look exactly alike, like a faucet, but it has a power tool.
Right.
Inside it has plastic parts.
Yep.
Rather than metal. That's what.
Yeah.
If you go to a big box store, that's what you're gonna get.
I have a question for you, Duffy. So how long have you been doing Lumberyard Direct now?
Lumberyard Directs has been for about 2 years. Prior to that, it was my LLC name, which is called Duffwood.com.
Yeah, Duffwood.com. What's been the biggest joy in starting this whole thing?
The biggest thing is when you help somebody out and they get to do the project either themselves or have somebody do it, and they saved, thousands of dollars.
But Handsome Phil, one of the things where I want to make a plug for the station, because we have folks, how can people make a donation? Because everyone, this is a nonprofit. This is community radio. We do it out of our hearts and love for the truth. And
we are a
don't get
501(c)(3).
paid.
That is correct. We don't get paid to do this, and you can go to wseafm.org/donate.
So Duffy, you can get these, perhaps get these independent lumberyards organized together.
Yeah, that's what we're currently doing. We're out talking to them and getting a key person in the inside to be a dedicated person connecting with us, and they're going to send us their overstock. And when we get a deal, we're going to contact that single person, and we've done this and make the sale happen.
But you don't have like a warehouse full
No.
of overstock stuff that
No.
you're taking off these independent guys' hands that can't sell it.
They all want me to, but no, that's not happening. We don't take stock; we just sell it.
Right.
That's good. Well, yeah, it's just you don't want to be in the inventory business, but you're, I would think they'd love to have you because you're getting rid of their inventory. It's collecting dust and stuff.
I've had owners of lumberyards look at me and just say, "Finally, somebody has come up with something."
So that said, okay, which is that's a great comment. Where do you see this, Duffy? And this is pure, prophecy. But where do you see this business? Say 3, 4, 5 years from now. I mean, so you've been working on it 2 years now, and it's a pain in the neck. I know how it is to start a business. I've done enough of them myself. How difficult it is, and I admire you for it, Duffy, because I know what it takes to do that. But where do you see Lumberyard Direct, say, in 3, 4, 5 years from now?
What I'd like to see is the portal totally automated so that anybody at any retail location, brick or mortar, can put any of their overstock on there. And then that portal, that independent brick and mortar will be an outlet for me to sell anything that we sell online to sell through them. And that would be, it would be a win-win for everybody.
That's great. Now, one of the things which, as you know, starting a business is it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of monetary and spiritual support. How's your wife Jen and your brother Jay and your rest of your family? Are they behind you on this, Duff?
They're all behind me 100%. It was funny because I flew under the radar for a few years with my brother Jay because it was back when the economy was down a little bit, and my late brother Stephen knew that I was doing this, and he was like, keep going, keep doing it, because when the economy turned around, my brother Jay really saw the value add for the issues that are out there, and my wife has been pro since the day I met her, and we talked about this, and she just this weekend was saying, I'm excited for this to get going even more, so that we can she could come in and help me with it.
That's fantastic, and she's got you get a full plate there, Duffy. You got young kids and
the bandwidth on starting a business with having a full-time job and having a 5 and a 7-year-old, and that's it's a lot.
Yeah, so it's great to know. So you have a great family, and it's great to know that Jay and all the rest of Taryn, Susan, Lisa, everybody is all behind you, huh?
Susan, yep, they're all there.
That's great. How?
So Duffy, if you have to do you have to collect the money and then distribute it to the lumberyard, or can they just have them go directly to the lumberyard?
You know what, Will? We've been working on this, trying to figure out the easiest possible path. So what we decided at first, what we started to do is that Will was going to pay Lumberyards Direct, or it was actually Duffwood at the time, 20%, and then you were going to go there and pay the remainder 80%, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that was just not going to happen. So what we've done now is Will's going to pay Lumberyards Direct the entire amount of money, and then we're going to order the product at the lumberyard, and we're going to pay for the product, and you're just going to go in and pick it up.
I see. So that's a big responsibility for all that billing and online billing and so forth. And
yeah, so logistically, it's right now it's all manual, but it's really when we get this automated, as this thing ramps up, it's going to be a real easy situation for everybody involved.
Yeah, and you can't do that online. I know just selling books online, just getting the stuff up and running is a pain, though.
Oh my gosh!
It's just, and then all of a sudden you're like, you have different rates changed. Like I guess there's a new postage rate coming out, so we're gonna have to change it again. But once you get up online and running, it's gonna be a lot easier. But it's a lot of effort. How can people contact you, Duff, in case they have more?
Well, on the website, lumberyardsdirect.com, there's a 800 number, or actually an 888 number.
Yep.
And there's also a contact email address.
Yeah, and let's see. The other question I had was do you get this? How do you leverage this? I mean, one of the things I've learned is to leverage our work. Do you offer this concept at trade shows or anything like that?
We talk about it at the trade shows that we do. I have not yet had a booth at a trade show. I've seen a lot of shows. I mean, we do the International Builders Show, which is one of the largest.
Where's that?
That's this year it'll be in Las Vegas. The last several years it's been in Orlando.
Okay.
And that's over I think it's 1 million square feet of space.
Yes.
And it's expensive to be in, but it would be great. I can see that. Like you were asking about, my 5-year plan would be to be at that show, to be soliciting business. The biggest, I think, and that's the easiest way of promoting it, along with social media. That's a big thing. We do a lot of social media and a lot of outbound marketing versus with Constant Contact and MailChimp.
Okay.
And what sort of a discount could you expect?
Very good point. We can honestly, from anywhere from 75% off the price to about 30%. So new materials, sometimes 30, and then the overstock can be up to 75% off. So it's a real savings.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
And how have you? I mean, you and your brother. And your family's been in the building supply business for a long time. We had this conversation on the way up, but how are you finding the industry, the building industry? It's still pretty, as Wall Street would say, very robust, isn't it?
It is very robust. I mean, we've had a great run for the last almost 10 years, and it's been a lot of new home starts and new construction, and remodeling is always strong. So it's going well.
Yeah, and that was one question I had. You can't pinpoint or give a guesstimate as to how much of your business really comes from new home building or refurbishing houses or rehabs.
On the Lumberyards Direct, it's about 50-50.
Oh, okay. Because
we are selling new materials online, so those would be typically are going on new homes, and then we sell our overstock stuff, which typically goes to additions, remodeling, or outbuildings.
So you have pergolas?
We sell pergolas.
Pergolas.
Yeah.
Pergolas?
Yep, those beautiful. That's one of the companies that I represent. They have we sell all high quality products, and this was a Intex Millwork, which is down in New Jersey, and they do first class materials. So we took one of their products and we put it up there to really streamline and try to get the word out on it.
And people can also know that you're not going to sell them junk. You're selling quality stuff at the right price, and you're helping the local keep their dollars local also.
Exactly. Buy local.
Yeah, and don't sell junk. And I know your family always been quality sells. I mean, it's just really. I mean, that's.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we're really trying to help people buy the right product, because there's so much out there for people to not know. And I now I go to people's houses all the time, and I look at their products that are on the house, and you could have a $700,000 house with very inexpensive products that are out there, and these people are buying these houses not knowing what they don't know, and the builders are putting these products in to make the most margin.
It's something. Let me ask you, and the building supply business, it's not like I'm so regulated to death. Okay, I do business around the country, and I have to do different forms in different states, and it's just anyway, it keeps my compliance people happy, and lawyers happy. But is there much compliance work you have to do with selling and building supply products from state to state? Do you have to comply with any special laws? I was just curious.
I deal with the sales tax issue, and the way that I do that is kind of interesting, because when somebody buys it from me, I'm buying it from the store, so I'm paying the tax for the product that they bought from me.
Okay.
So that's how I've actually simplified that process.
But we're in New Hampshire.
Yeah, but I'm selling products that are being picked up in other states. Yeah.
So how does that work? So they have to pay the sales tax, in other words?
Yeah, they pay me the purchase price, and I have built into it the sales tax.
Okay, all right, because you have to pay the sales tax to start.
Yeah.
So when you go to the checkout, you don't get that surprise.
No.
Yes. What is sales tax now? Luckily, New Hampshire. Well, New Hampshire. What do we have in New Hampshire?
Zero.
Exactly.
The old donut hole.
5.5 in Maine, I think.
It was at 5.5 in Maine. What's
six something in Connecticut.
6 something. What's it Mass? Is it Mass?
Probably 5 something.
I think it's in the sixes. I think it's in the sixes too.
Yeah. So wow. So it's any event. So well, this has been great. So do you have any questions, Handsome Phil?
No, I've been feeding that the best thing about you is you are Duff's. You seriously care about the local people and trying to keep the dollars local by making it on a worldwide scale. So, like, let's say a contractor's coming into town to do some work on a summer house for somebody. They know that they can get their products and everything they need local through you without actually having to be on the location.
Well, they might not know the local, where to go.
And they might exactly, and you keep them from going to the big box stores. And you're my hero for doing that.
Well, thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, and I can vouch. I've known the family and Duffy. You have impeccable integrity, and I know how hard you work. And I highly recommend them. And I wish you every success possible in your ventures.
Well, Barry, it's a struggle with bandwidth on having to do things, but it's also running a business. As you know, running the business is not my biggest forte. I'm a salesman. I'm an entrepreneur, and I that's kind of the biggest hurdle that I have. As I was thinking back on your earlier question, is that I need the business smarts of people that are out there so that they could help me to grow this the proper way. But you've been such a mentor to me over the years, and we talked last week, and you just opened up your radio show to me, and I really, really appreciate that.
Well, grateful. And we're going to have this posted on my website, and we're going to Handsome Phil, our engineer, is going to do a YouTube on it. So we wish you every success possible with lumberyarddirect.com. I know it will be a success, and I think that's a wrap.
Okay, Duff, thank you so much
Jesus.
for being in studio. I guess he cuts
Thank
it
you.
off right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know, Duff, thank you so much for doing what you do. Keep it up, keep it local. And we'll Barry, you're off next week, is that correct? Or you will be in next week?
No, we're going to have Mike McKinnon on from Illinois. We're going to talk about college education funding, which you may want to listen to or may not want to listen to, you know. So, but anyhow, we'll
Sounds
do it
good.
again. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Our pleasure, Duffy.
Thank you, Will.
This has been The Economic Warrior with your host, Barry James Dyke. Broadcast live at WSCA Portsmouth Community Radio. Engineered by Phil Kleiger. If you have any questions about today's show or need an ally in conquering the battleground of finance, contact the warrior himself at barrymjamesdyke.com.
Who are the warriors?